Howdy, folks. I just want to say a warm thank you to all of you folks who subscribed. This week I reached 100 subscribers. You folks are really awesome, so thanks. I've picked an excellent selection of stories for you this week, so sit back, grab your beverage of choice, and enjoy the letters. In addition to the title, we'll be hearing about a stepmom who mocked a cat's death, a guy who wants to give his girlfriend yeast as a present, and a couple of other really awesome letters. So let's get started. Our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Ending My Girlfriend's Obsession? And this is by Pass Off It. My girlfriend likes to play this game, The Arcana. It's one of those corny visual novels where you get to romance characters. Earlier, I had no problem with her playing the game, but she has gotten obsessed. She plays the game whenever she gets time after work and is doing housework. She only spends time with me at nights and ignores me when I try to talk to her. She also constantly sketches and draws the characters from the game, but also gives special preference to characters whom she admits look a little like a guy she once had a crush on. All of this got really onto my nerves because I told her that she must stop playing the game because it makes me uncomfortable and I didn't like her playing it. She brushed me off and said that she plays it for the art, story, and music. We all know that's not why women play games like these. I got super irritated yesterday because the obsession had gotten worse and now she also started playing the music from the game on her guitar. So, I just took her phone and uninstalled the game from it yesterday morning. She didn't even notice until yesterday afternoon, and when she discovered the app wasn't there anymore, she flipped. She was telling me how I had violated her privacy and how I was disgusting for being jealous of a fictional character. She hit me below the belt and said that she had never minded if I said some of the characters in one of my game was hot. I told her that I wasn't obsessed like she was. She isn't talking to me and she's being very irritable because she didn't back up her progress and it's lost. I think that this proves that she was indeed obsessed with the game. Am I a jerk for uninstalling a game from my girlfriend's phone which she was obsessed with? Hi OP. I'm gonna say this one was pretty cut and dry. You are a jerk. The reason why you're a jerk is that you destroyed your girlfriend's property. Now legally, she probably couldn't sue you for the loss of property, but still, we are reaching a point in our society where we consider data valuable and sometimes even more valuable than the devices that it's contained on. I personally see deleting electronic files as no different from shredding paper documents. If she purchased anything from this game, then you caused her to sustain a financial loss. Further, you caused her to lose the time she invested in this game. That is time that she will never get back. Not only did you destroy her progress, but disrespect her time and potentially cause her a financial loss. You violated her trust and privacy. Now either you unlocked her phone, which is likely given that most people lock their devices, or she didn't think it was necessary to secure her device around you. In either case, she trusted you not to mess with her phone. You violated her trust and damaged your relationship with her. It doesn't really sound like you two had good communication. It sounds like she ignored you, and it sounds like there was an overall breakdown in communication. I think that your demand for her to stop playing the game was unreasonable, but I also think that if you feel like you were being ignored by her, then you have a right to bring that up. But what you did went well beyond the bounds of reasonable behavior by deleting her application. Instead of working through this problem with her, you took matters into your own hands, you decided that she was addicted to it, and decided on your own what was best for her. This is not how relationships work. You're not acting like a good partner. You also mentioned that it took her all day to notice that the game was deleted. This means that she was able to ignore the game and be productive throughout the day without it. She isn't obsessively checking the game, and it doesn't seem like she's addicted. If anything, it looks like you are jealous over the game. The right thing to do here is to talk to the company and hope that they can restore her data. Sometimes these companies have emails that you can reach out to and help recover data. A lot of times that's the case. And if this fails, then you should financially compensate her for any losses she sustained from this. In my opinion, this means that if she spent like $100 on the game, or she needs $100 worth of in-game currency to restore her progress, then you're obligated to actually compensate her for that. That's my personal feeling and how you could remedy this. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the end of your relationship and that she leaves you because of this breach of trust. I wish you the best of luck and I hope that you can find some way to make this right for her. I would sit down and talk to her and try to work this problem out and suggest restoring her game or finding some kind of compensation for her. Anyhow, good luck. This next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Talking to My Psychologist About My Boyfriend? And this is from SugarPlum33. So I'm 19 and my boyfriend is 22, and I got into a fight 2 days ago. I was angry at him because he constantly refused to take responsibility when we argue or fight and always turns it around, so I end up being the one who is in the wrong. Yesterday, I had a session with my psychologist and I brought this up to her. We talked about it and she helped me realize that my boyfriend is invalidating my feelings and how important it is to communicate that with him. When I brought it up to him, he got angry that I mentioned it to the psychologist because it made him look like a bad person. He said that I'm making a big deal out of nothing and that I shouldn't tell other people about our issues. He's now ignoring me. I'm not exactly sure if I'm in the wrong here, so am I a jerk? Hi, OP. I'm sorry your boyfriend is acting like this. I'm gonna have to say that you're not the jerk here, but he is acting like a jerk. The point of a psychologist is to talk about things and to work through your problems. You wanted to work through the issues you were having with your psychologist, which is perfectly acceptable. A psychologist is a good sounding board. Their outside perspective can be invaluable towards helping you not only work through your life's problems, but also grow as a person. Further, your therapist suggested that you two work through your problems together through communication, and communication is a major tool in mending and strengthening relationships. Whether intentional or not, your boyfriend is shutting down and ignoring you. He is sabotaging your relationship. And to be honest, it sounds a lot like your boyfriend is upset that you're sticking up for yourself and confronting him about his bad behavior. He probably views, whether consciously or not, you confronting him as a threat to his power over the conversation. Further, everything discussed in a therapy session is confidential. This means that your therapist isn't going around behind your back and bad-mouthing you or your boyfriend. I would argue that this is not a breach of trust and that it's understood that you'll be discussing your intimate life details with your therapist. So good luck and take care. This next letter is titled, Will I Be a Jerk If I Give My Girlfriend Yeast Wrapped Up as a Present? And this is from Am I the Jerk? Yeast Throwaway. My girlfriend and I have been living together for a while now. She loves baking bread. I'd say it's safe to say that it's one of her hobbies and passion. As a result, we always have delicious bread in our home. I think it's amazing and I'm really lucky. For the sake of this post, I feel like I have to include that I never bake bread. We both cook, but I never bake. I never ask her either. She just does it because she enjoys it. She usually bakes bread once or twice a week. We live in a country where people have been stockpiling idiots, so supermarkets have been out of toilet paper, pasta, and apparently also yeast. About a week ago, my girlfriend told me that she is out of yeast. She seemed to be bummed out by this because she started being more experimental with her bread baking since we went into lockdown. So I made it my mission to get her some yeast. I called every supermarket and I finally found a bakery that was happy to sell me some. I picked it up yesterday and wrapped it up as a little present. I wanted to give it to my girlfriend tonight, but when I told one of my mates about it, he said that it would be an insulting present. He said that it's sexist, and that it might imply to my girlfriend that I expect her to bake bread. He also said it's a bit like gifting her a gym membership when she didn't ask for one. I'm really unsure because I do not expect her to bake for me. I genuinely thought she'd like it, but I absolutely do not want to offend her. Will I be a jerk if I give her yeast wrapped up as a present? Small update. I gave her the yeast wrapped up like I planned, and she loved it. There are 4 fresh baked breads waiting to be eaten right now. Hi folks, so often we get stories here that are just kind of bummers, and today this one I thought was a nice cute story. I thought that it would be really enjoyable, and I think it was a nice sweet gift by OP. I read this story before the updates, but I wanted to include it so that all of you would know that there was a happy ending to this story. So my judgment would of course be that no, OP, you're not a jerk. While your friend probably meant well with their advice, I think they missed the mark a bit. The yeast was something that your girlfriend wanted and enjoyed. You took a lot of time out of your day to locate it. It was a fun just because gift that showed her that you were thinking about her and listening to her. She knew how much effort you put into this because yeast is so hard to come by right now. I think that this could have gone wrong if the yeast had been a present for you instead. And by that, what I mean is, if you had been begging her to bake bread, but she didn't necessarily bake it because she enjoyed it or whatever, you ran out of yeast and then you wrapped it up and were like, oh, hey, I got you some yeast so you can bake me more bread. And it wouldn't have really been a gift to them. It would have been a gift to you instead. but this is clearly a hobby that she enjoys and something that she does on her own, and I don't think you had any risk of coming across to sounding like you expected her to bake bread. And another thing that was going for you here is that this wasn't a special occasion. Like I said, this was a just because gift. If on the other hand this had been like for an anniversary or something, then that might have been really murky territory. So excellent job, OP. I was really happy to hear about your girlfriend and how much she loved the bread. So thanks for sharing and good luck in the future. And one last side note, just so that if anyone is listening and you do like baking bread and you can't find yeast right now, you can actually make sourdough starter. And another alternative is that you can actually grow your own yeast. There are a lot of tutorials out there on how to grow your own yeast, so I would look into those if you're interested in that. Our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Telling My Boyfriend That I Don't Have a Breast? And this is from Throwaway. I'm honestly heartbroken right now. I'm a 24-year-old female and a breast cancer survivor. I've had my left breast removed and there's just a scar there now. When I go out, I wear a little silicone padding on my left breast, otherwise it would look very odd and makes me self-conscious. My boyfriend, a 23-year-old male, and I have been dating long distance for the past 3 years. We've met a couple of times in person, but we just enjoyed each other's company. He knows that I'm a cancer survivor, but doesn't know about my breast. I decided to move in with him about a month ago, and we tried to be intimate. I said tried because the moment he laid eyes on my breast, his face went white and he refused to touch me further. He said I cheated him and I should have told him earlier about my breast. I told him that I didn't think it was that important since he said that he loves all of me and he thought I was beautiful. I'm honestly so conflicted right now and I feel like a horrible person. Am I a jerk for not telling my boyfriend that I don't have a breast? And here is a relevant edit. Had a long talk with him. He says he can't be with me anymore. He didn't know that I was lacking a breast because I looked fine in my pictures. Thank you for your help, everyone. Alright, folks. My heart really goes out to OP here. And a lot of folks considered OP to be the jerk in this situation, but I'm going to deviate away from that opinion. So here's why I don't think you're a jerk, OP. You've had a long-term, long-distance relationship with this man. He knows that you're a breast cancer survivor. It's fairly standard procedure to treat breast cancer with a mastectomy. I'm reasonably certain that this is common knowledge. However, I'm not entirely sure that this is general knowledge because this is a topic that I have a lot of expertise in. The fact that he never looked up treatment or information about your cancer perplexes me a bit. Personally, I would like to know what my partner has gone through, especially something so traumatic. To me, this post didn't read like you were actively trying to deceive him. It sounds more like this was a sensitive topic for you, and it seemed like with him saying that he loves all of you and that he thought you were beautiful, that you may have been under the impression that he may have at least somewhat known or been a little bit aware of this situation. Further, with that statement, it may have seemed to you that he would be accepting of your lost breast. So let's consider a scenario where instead of missing a breast, he was missing a testicle. And suppose he told you that he was a testicular cancer survivor. Would he have been a jerk to never have mentioned it to you that he was missing one until you two became intimate? I'm personally having a hard time saying yes to that. The loss of his testicle would be difficult for him to discuss, and it's not like there are many good opportunities to bring it up. Next, let's consider a second scenario. Say you had a huge, ugly birthmark that was always concealed by your clothes. You never mentioned it or brought it up. Upon becoming intimate, your boyfriend discovers it. Would you be a jerk for not telling him about it? Again, I'm going to have to argue no. The birthmark, just like the removed breast, doesn't impact you or your ability to be intimate. You might not have brought it up because you were uncomfortable, or maybe you were so used to living with it that you didn't really give it much thought. Though again, I would have a hard time claiming that you are actively trying to deceive him or anyone else. Now, I can understand why it might have been shocking to him. I think that it would have been a nice courtesy to inform him ahead of time. You could have sat down with him and filled him in that you were missing a breast and that some folks might find it shocking. I think he overreacted. His reaction would have been more reasonable if you had never told him about a racist tattoo or ties to a hate group. Then I could understand him wondering what other things from your life you might have omitted. Now, again, on the other hand, if he had directly asked you if you were missing a breast and you lied to him and told him that you weren't missing one, then I could also see you being in the wrong in that case, but that doesn't sound like what happened here. OP, your missing breast doesn't define you as a person. It doesn't affect how you operate from day to day, and it doesn't make you a good or a bad person. Good luck, and I hope you find a better partner in the future. Our last letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Yelling at My Stepmom After She Mocked My Cat's Death? And this is from What a Bee. A few months ago, my dad moved in with his new girlfriend, who we'll call Steph. Now at this point, me, my dad, and my brother have a cat called Tommy for around 11 years. He was quite old, but still going strongly. Steph hated Tommy. She never had a reason to, but whenever Tommy came to sleep on their bed, she would chuck him out of the house for the night, leave him out in the rain and the cold. And she said he had a mental disability to everyone because he didn't like her. Tommy was very dear to my dad, and he loved him with all his heart and soul. So when he had to get him put down for health issues, he was understandably crushed. He came home and told us about Tommy, and I was in tears and was just sitting on the settee crying. This is when Steph came in. She asked what all the commotion was, and when we told her about Tommy passing away, she said, "Well, at least that's one problem out of the way." Completely seriously. Steph was genuinely happy that Tommy had died. In a blind rage, I told her to shut up and stormed into my room. My dad is telling me that I went too far and that my stepmom is angry. Am I a jerk? Hi, OP. I'm so sorry to hear that Steph was so awful to you and your family. It sounds like Tommy was well loved and cared for by everyone except her. Stephanie sounds cruel and heartless. She made an enemy of a family pet and couldn't even bury the hatchet on his death. Not everyone likes pets, but this is an entirely different matter to go out of your way to treat a pet poorly and to mock its death openly. Further, consider it from Tommy's perspective. She was the one who moved into the family's home. This was his home long before hers. So in his eyes, she was the guest in his house. So the standard sane reaction to someone losing a pet is to offer sympathy and support, not celebrate with glee and proclaim, well, at least that problem is out of the way. The only problem I see here is that your father hasn't broken things off with her yet. This situation has more red flags than I can count. I know that this is hard, but I would seriously consider talking to your brother about the two of you holding an intervention for your father. If she acted this way over a cat, then it is likely that this is just the tip of the iceberg of her bad behavior. You two should discuss your feelings about Steph to him. Even if your father doesn't break things off with her, her behavior may be an indicator for deeper issues. Good luck, and I hope that your father is able to see the light on Steph. Okay, folks, that's all the time we have for today. If you thought I did a good job at judging these letters, consider giving me a thumbs up. If you think I did a poor job, consider giving me a thumbs down. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all around.